Imagine the scene. Long ago, they watched you stumble, clinging to their smug certainty that you would never rise. They feasted on your insecurities, offered hollow encouragement, draped in mocking smiles, assumed that you would stay small, docile, grateful for scraps. Now, they witness you thriving beyond what they ever dared to imagine. Their regret tastes bitter on their tongues, lingers in the pit of their stomachs, and echoes through their hollow laughter. They wagered against you, underestimated your capacity for change, and now you conduct the grand symphony of their remorse. Each note of that regret is a reminder that your ascent came at the cost of their comfort. Your victory is a season of shadows and whispers, where their nightmares become your lullabies. You learned early that comfort blinds the soul, that those who never stray from safe paths end up with rusted minds and silent hearts. The world taught them to settle, to accept the narrative handed down by faceless entities hungry for conformity. They absorbed those lessons eagerly, hoping to avoid the pain that comes with carving one's own destiny. Meanwhile, you tore free from that grip, forcing yourself into discomfort. While they lounged in their shallow pools of certainty, you dived into dark waters where creatures of doubt lurked. By facing those creatures, you evolved, sharpening your instincts, honing your craft, forging yourself into something more than they could comprehend. Their regret forms a chorus, a haunting refrain that now follows you through corridors of success. While they stand stunned, you stride forward, unburdened by their expectations. There was a time when you nearly drowned in their projected limitations, but you surfaced, gasping, seizing your autonomy. They never believed you would escape their web, but now that you have, their regret becomes a knife twisting in their own backs. They did not choose this pain. They invited it by doubting you. Their regret is not just sorrow. It is your triumph, manifested as sound, a soundtrack to your grand metamorphosis. Let them taste that bitterness while you savor your freedom. Consider the arrogance they displayed when they saw you struggle. They presumed you incapable of reinvention, of daring to break through comfort's chains. They imagined you bound forever by their expectations. Instead, you transcended every label they stuck to your skin. Their regret now howls, a wounded animal cornered by the reality of your evolution. You do not need to flaunt your success with grand gestures. Their regret announces it for you. It is the music that greets you at dawn, reminds you that you escaped their fate, that you refused to be molded into their image. The spectacle of their regret amuses you. There's humor in watching those who once smirked at your dreams now scramble to understand how you achieved what they labeled impossible. Their regret is their punishment, self-inflicted, triggered by witnessing your ascent. While they scuttle in confusion, you glide through life with a knowing grin. They pay now for their limited vision, for underestimating the force of someone willing to embrace discomfort, to risk failure, to endure pain. This is what happens when one invests in strength instead of settling for weakness. This regret is more than just background noise. It is your personal symphony, composed of their sighs, gasps, and silent curses. Each note resonates with your past trials, reminding you of how far you have come and how low they aimed. Their regret enriches your experience. It does not grant them empathy, only your amusement, as you watch them grapple with the realization that their small-minded assumptions failed. Their regret fuels the fire inside you, confirming that breaking free from their comfortable illusions was the smartest move you ever made. You have no need to announce your growth. Their regret announces it for you. The emptiness in their eyes, the tension in their voices when your name is mentioned, the way their shoulders slump at the mere thought of your accomplishments. These signs tell you everything. They regret not believing in you, not supporting your climb, not anticipating that your willingness to embrace hardship would pay dividends they never dreamed possible. You welcome their regret as a trophy, a symbol of your hard-won independence and self-definition. Consider how their regret contrasts with your fulfillment. While you enjoy the calm confidence of a life forged by your own hand, they grapple with remorse over their short-sightedness. Their regret reveals that they knew better, but chose to ignore it, that they were too timid to match your audacity. Their regret whispers that they should have tried harder, risked more, strived to understand the ferocious will that burned within you. But they did not. And now, they suffer the consequences. People often claim to support your efforts, to cheer on your attempts at success, to pat your back and smile as you climb. Yet beneath their applause lies a silent condition. Do well, but never surpass them. Their kindness, their encouragement, it all comes with an invisible line drawn in the sand. As long as you remain in your place, as long as your achievements remain comfortably below their threshold of greatness, they pretend to celebrate you. The moment you dare cross that line, the atmosphere changes. Their smiles fade, their compliments turn brittle, their support shrivels like a leaf in a dry wind. This dynamic is not an exception. It is embedded deep in the flawed architecture of human nature. People pride themselves on generosity, on empathy, on lifting others up. But secretly, they consider themselves the center of the universe. The idea that you might rise above their level is an offense they cannot tolerate. They prefer you struggling, working hard, striving, just never outshining them. They may never admit this directly. They cloak their jealousy in backhanded compliments, snide remarks disguised as humor, subtle attempts to undermine your confidence. Their desire to see you do well is hollow, conditional, a fragile veneer that cracks under the pressure of your unexpected growth. In this dark corner of human behavior, kindness becomes a lie, support becomes a trap, and the one who dares to break the unspoken rule is met with quiet hostility. Recognize this poison, for it runs through the veins of every crowd, every group, every so-called community. You are the sum of your actions, your efforts, your will to excel, and in excelling, you expose their comfort as weakness. They want you to remain small, manageable, predictable, because it reaffirms their sense of superiority. Break free from that mold, surpass their expectations, and watch their kindness evaporate into resentment. For in a world where people only want you to do good, but never better than them, rising above mediocrity is the ultimate act of defiance. And in that defiance, their regret becomes the soundtrack to your success. This tendency to resent others' success over one's own is more than just envy. It is a poison that corrodes human interactions. Many do not realize how deeply ingrained it is. They nod approvingly when you achieve a small milestone, enjoying the sense of benevolence it gives them. Yet when your ambitions balloon beyond the confines of their comfort, their smiles twist into grimaces. They struggle to find words to praise you, and sometimes they offer no words at all. Silence becomes their response to your excellence, a heavy reminder that their approval was always conditional. The darkest humor lies in the fact that they might have even encouraged you to start this journey. They might have lent a hand when you stumbled at the start line, all the while believing you would never reach the heights now in sight. Now that you have dared to surpass them, they cannot celebrate your triumph. The human mind is a fragile construct, rattled by the notion that someone they once saw as lesser or equal could break free and ascend. Instead of drawing inspiration from your achievements, they cling to excuses, label you as lucky, or attempt to downplay your accomplishments. This is their defense mechanism, their way of preserving ego, of holding on to the fantasy that they remain superior. Such behavior does not shock those who know the darker side of human nature. It simply confirms what the wise have always known. Support lasts only as long as you pose no threat. Cross that line, and their support mutates into sabotage. And in that grim revelation, their regret hums softly, setting the tempo of your success. The cruelty of this tendency manifests most clearly when observing how people react to your long-term growth. In the beginning, when your dreams are small and humble, they encourage. Perhaps they like the idea of you attempting something that seems destined to fail. It amuses them, makes them feel charitable. But as you evolve, hone your craft, and start to surpass them in skill, influence, or recognition, their attitude sours. They critique your methods, question your motives, whisper doubts into the ears of onlookers. They want to slow you down, pull you back into the realm of the ordinary. They tell themselves stories to cope with their discomfort, that you must have cheated, must have compromised your integrity, must have become arrogant. In their struggle to reconcile their early support with their current resentment, they contort reality to suit their narrative. Meanwhile, you keep climbing, fueled by the knowledge that your very progress angers them. This transformation of their attitude, from mild encouragement to seething jealousy, might tempt you to feel guilt. Resist that urge. Recognize instead that your success shines a light on their insecurities.